What would you do if your closest friend told you she was pregnant, and then you discovered that the father was your husband? At first, Carol Bond was happy for her friend, Merlinda Haynes. Then she learned the truth. Her husband of 14 years had been having an affair with Haynes, and the baby was his. Bond's happiness turned into rage, but she did not confront them and walk away. She began planning revenge. Bond worked in a chemical laboratory. She stole a highly toxic substance from her employer and ordered another chemical online. Then, over several months, she secretly spread the chemicals on Haynes, mailbox, car door handles, and front doorknob. Not once, at least 24 times, Haynes kept finding strange substances around her home. Most were visible, so she avoided touching them, but one day, the chemical burned her thumb. She contacted the local police, but their response did not solve the mystery. So when powder appeared on her mailbox, Haynes contacted the Postal Service. This time, investigators installed hidden cameras. The footage finally revealed the person, returning again and again. It was Carol Bond. The cameras also caught her opening Haynes' mailbox, stealing an envelope, and placing chemicals in her car. Bond was arrested, but then the story took a bizarre turn. Federal prosecutors did not treat this merely as harassment, assault, or attempted poisoning. They charged Bond under a law created to enforce an international treaty against chemical weapons. A broken marriage had somehow become a case of chemical warfare. Bond pleaded guilty while preserving her right to appeal. She received 6 years in federal prison. From prison, she continued fighting the chemical weapons conviction. Her case reached the Supreme Court not once but twice. Finally, in 2014, the justices ruled that the chemical weapons law had never been intended for an ordinary local assault like this. Bond had won, but there was one final twist. By the time the court overturned the chemical weapons conviction, she had already served essentially the entire 6-year sentence. Her mail theft convictions still remained, and although the courts could erase the chemical weapons charges from her record, they could not return the years she had already lost. Carol Bond's revenge destroyed far more than she intended. Her actions were criminal, but they were not chemical warfare. Based on Bond versus United States, as discussed in Criminal Law, Principles and Cases by Thomas J. Gardner and Terry M. Anderson. Narrated with Aura Reader, offline TTS, turned textbooks into natural-sounding audiobooks.